tell they're pumped up. Their motors are revved. And until that baby goes down, you won't see much action. But when it falls, Katie barred the door. And they're off. Coming out of that bunch, I don't see how you can tell who's in the lead. Of course, that man in the yellow uniform is Bobby Hanna. Looks like he's second to John Savitsky, a newcomer. He is second at the first turn. You can see he's riding tough, going into the high side of the turn.
John, it seems to me there that John Savitsky is really over his head trying to keep up with Hanna on a course like this. Now, Savitsky's a privateer, not one penny of factory-back money. The kid is fast, but the thing happens is he crashes quite often and puts himself right out. Wait, Jesus, now wasn't him. Somebody right behind him went over the high side on the thing. That's a classic tank slapper and high side. While we were talking there, Hanna just passed. Oh, here we are now. That is Jim Ellis, two-time. Mike Bell, number 339, just screamed Ellis as he was pushing his bike on the course. Ellis looks like he's down. I hope he's not hurt. He's had some crashes before that have torn the front end off his machine, but this one has got him on his back. John, I don't know what's happening there, but it looks bad.
Well, it can never be good when the rider doesn't get off the ground while those fellas are riding their motorcycles around the track. It does appear to me that they are really going for it, as they quote a phrase in this game. Do they have more accidents in the finals than they might in the heat?
They do, because they've got nothing to lose by going fast except falling right there. Now, a guy in an earlier heat, he falls, he may not qualify for the final. But in this one, like take Jim Weinert, for example.
Here he goes.
Jim just fell. And Jim has really been a hard luck story tonight. One of the best racers we've got out there. He's down again. Now that's got to take something out of him. He's fallen once, twice, or three times tonight. He just lost several positions. And like you say, there's nothing to do but go for it. They put the throttle all the way to the wick. It's either win or lose for the evening in this race, John.
Right now, Bobby Hanna, John Savitsky, and Jim Pomeroy are all putting the whip to the throttle. We don't know who will win. It's 1, 2, 3 at this point. In my opinion, it's awfully hard for Jimmy Weinert to come back, having fallen twice already tonight. He knows the odds are against him. We'll be right back, and you can take a look for yourself. We're back for more racing in the fifth lap of the 20-lap finals of Stadium Motocross competition. Bob Hanna is still in the lead. Jim Pomeroy has overtaken John Savitsky for second place. Tommy Croft is fourth, and Galen Mosier is fifth.
Hey, we've got something really fantastic shaping up here, John. We've got really the 24 best stadium racers in the entire world. Something that hasn't been mentioned earlier tonight is that Graham Noyce, the British champion and one of the top 5 finishers in the World Grand Prix, is also competing, and you don't even see him in the top 5. When you've got something like that going, you know you've got some hot racing. For example, now you're watching Pomeroy there, and you can see a little further back in the pack, Croft is really about to put the move on Savitsky. You can tell each corner he picks up a couple laps, and what's happening here is the experience of Croft overtaking the enthusiasm of Savitsky.
You mean his enthusiasm has waned a bit, or he's just tired?
Well, he just got it just then. I just noticed it. He's getting tired. I mean, he still wants to win just as bad, because this means the difference between all the marbles and just gas money going home on this kind of race. Now you've got something you very seldom see. You've got two teammates, both top dog Honda riders. Pomeroy, who's won a Grand Prix in the past, and Croft, who was placed in a Grand Prix, are both neck on neck, and I'll tell you, he's going to be going for it.
You know, we've talked an awful lot about the energy levels, about the way these guys get after it. What are they getting after? How much cash is involved for each of these riders?
Well, it varies with every race and every rider, depending on their factory situation. This is a race unlike race cars, wherein the factory probably supports 2/3 or more. Oh, geez, was that Savitsky? We talked about him getting tired. That's what happened. Your concentration level goes down, and the bike gets ripped right out of your arms. But he's backing up. Looks like he's not hurt bad. That's super. In any event, I think you just showed it. I mean, there's a lot of risk in this sport, and the guys do get paid for it well. The world champion earns over $250,000 a year. One of the top racers in here, because of IRS, I probably shouldn't mention who it is, took home a net taxable income last year of $118,000. Down to the guys that may not even get paid gas money to go home, that don't qualify. But that's the big suspense.
And we also know that man number 2 is filling his pail today. He has taken a very commanding lead. And you notice, what I notice about him is, we've heard so much about conditioning and energy. It looks to me as if he allows the bike to ride him, and it has to be an awful lot easier on him.
You really picked it right there. That is the one thing that can be said about Bob Hanna's style. He is so fluid that he almost looks out of control. Some people call him berserko, but he's not. He lets the bike go where it wants to go. He steers it with body English and throttle, and you can see the results, John.
Well, I know one thing. It does take conditioning.
One thing that has become apparent over the years is that as the tracks get tougher, the conditioning becomes far more important. Since 1972, when we hosted our first stadium motocross with only 27,000 fans, till this year we had over 400,000 fans for our events, they're demanding tougher, rougher courses. I was standing by while you discussed some of these track developments today with Jim Pomeroy.
Because it's getting more experience. They've been on the circuit now for maybe 4, going on 5 years, indoor tracks. They're starting to get where they're wider, safer, better for passing, and it's actually better for the spectators because you get to see more action going on all the time, and it's getting better all the time. I think it's going to, in the next couple of years, you're going to see a lot more radical changes, but it's going to be for the better.
And I think if action is what you want, you can certainly see it very well here. I don't know how they can show you any more. And as we pick up Bob Hanna in the 9th lap, he's still got more than half the course to ride. He is leading, Jim Pomeroy second, and Tommy Croft third. And we'll be right back after this announcement. We're nearing the halfway mark of this 20-lap Stadium Motocross final competition. Mike, the leaders haven't changed. Bob Hanna, Jim Pomeroy, and Tommy Croft are still remaining in a constant position. I get the feeling, however, that a Bob Hanna is like a Tommy Watson in golf, whereas a Weinert might be an Arnold Palmer or a Jack Nicklaus. Is this so as far as the rest of the competitors is concerned?
John, you can really be sure of that. We've got a real changing of the guard coming about in Stadium Motocross, and I think you had a time to talk to several of these guys earlier today.
What specific type of training do you do? I work out on the Nautilus system, and I'm sure a lot of people know about that now. I do that for 45 minutes to an hour. Then I run on the treadmill, and then I run on the beach a lot at home, in the hills, and then I ride my motorcycle. And you put this all together, and that just spells top condition. I've done so many high school assemblies lately talking to the young kids, and they want to know what's the key, and the word is sacrifice. You know, they want to go out and party with their friends and that, but I says, why don't you do your job first, and then when you're finished and made it, go out and party then.
And enjoy it more, huh?
And enjoy it, because you know, I love it. I go out training, and I've gotten into such a routine now. You know, if I don't go out and train, I feel terrible.
It seems like they all do it differently, but they all do train, and I guess that's the key to any sport. We're back in the 19th lap. The lead has not changed. Bob Hanna is clearly in first place, extending his lead, if anything. Jim Pomeroy is a solid second with Tommy Croft third. Galen Mosier is fourth, and Marty Smith is fifth.
You know, right now in the 19th and then the final lap, John, is when that conditioning really counts. We had some metabolic tests that were taking place in England that showed that professional motocross was second only to soccer in the physical demands it placed on the human body. Not a lot of people will like this, but in fact they found that pro football came in at 8th.
Well, I not only don't like it, I'm not sure it's so. Sometimes I get the feeling, Mike, as we see the white flag just waved for the 20th and last lap, and Bob Hanna in a commanding lead, that we're really putting out a physical fitness promo for motocross.
Well, I'll tell you, it is a very tough sport. However, a lot of skill and machine preparation really does come into it. For example, it might be easy to assume that Bob Hanna is going to automatically win. However, in the 10 races of the Stadium Series this year, we've had half of those of instances where the fellow won or lost in the last lap. Jim Pomeroy, who is going to be a bridesmaid tonight, in fact, the first race of the year, was leading into the final lap. 50 feet from the finish, a slower rider fell in front of him. He's been turning. He stalled his motor. Bob Hanna passed him for the most climatic finish of the year.
Well, I get the feeling as we watch Jim Pomeroy that he's going to be a distant second tonight. I've enjoyed being with you, Mike, and I think I've learned more about one particular sport on a given night than I ever have about any before, and I think you've also entertained all the viewers with your knowledge. So thanks to you. I think as we come right down around the last turn, we're going to see the man in the checkered flag. We've got him. Bob Hanna wins the Stadium Motocross Championship. We've had a great afternoon, and as I look at the crowd, it's hard for me to believe that this sport is still in its infancy. You know, the order of finish again. Bob Hanna, Jim Pomeroy.